We are waking up to a city just ransacked by people posing as protesters. They left behind a trail of destruction from Manhattan all the way up to the Bronx. So we are joined right now live by Bronx Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr. to talk about this. So good morning to you, Borough President. Thank you for making the time. You know, last night the Bronx looked like a scene out of the Bronx's burning days. The famous phrase from Howard Cosell, the Bronx is burning, back in the 1970s. So I'm curious, were you able to go out to Fordham Road, survey that damage firsthand? What did you see?
I have not been out there. Let me just say that this is not just exclusive to the Bronx. It's happening all over the city, all over the nation. And before we speak about that, let's be clear here. For the overwhelming majority of the people who are out there protesting, the pain, the hurt, and the anger is real. It's not just about George Floyd. It's about Breonna Taylor. It's about Ahmaud Arbery. But it goes back to decades. Remember that the first time that I ever participated in a protest was back in 1994. When you had the killing of Anthony Diaz, and then the next year you had Anthony Rosario and Hilton Vega, all the way up to Amadou Diallo. So people are just tired and frustrated that decade after decade, when you look at bad policing, when you look at innocent life that's being lost, it's predominantly happening in communities of color. And so this is a culmination of that. People feel really tired about systemic racism. What happened on Fordham Road last night was not a protest, Dan. That wasn't a march, and it goes against the spirit of who we are. It goes against the spirit of these rallies and the overwhelming majority of the protests. It goes against the spirit of the legacy of the very people that we're trying to fight for justice for. What happened last night was unacceptable. It's unlawful, and I'm going to go out there after this broadcast, and we're going to have also a press conference with the elected officials, clergy, with the Bronx DA at 1 p.m., calling for peace. We want people to protest. We need people to hear their voices and let out that anger. But we cannot do it at the expense of our communities and our neighborhoods.
I mean,
the images that you see in the video there are something that does not speak to who we are as Bronxites or New Yorkers.
Yeah, those are live images. If we can play those again, guys, if you want to take Air 11 or from the ground. Those are live images right now of the cleanup efforts underway right now. And I'm so appreciative that you're bringing up the fact that these are agitators, right? Posers in these group of peaceful protesters who are trying to honor the life there. And that should be the headline this morning, Borough President. So I want to talk about tonight, right? There's going to be a curfew in place at 8 p.m. The cleanup now underway there. What do you see, though, as a solution to these looters and these agitators in terms of getting them under control? It didn't seem like it worked last night with the curfew. And what are your thoughts overall on that?
I think that the police department were caught by surprise. I know that we were getting a lot of information about something happening tonight at Bay Plaza and in other parts of the Bronx and throughout the city of New York. They did not know or realize until it was very late in the activities already that Fordham Road would be a target. And so I think that one of the things that we have to continue to do is speak as New Yorkers, as Bronxites, as people who are seeking justice for George Floyd. And by the way, justice means not only criminal charges and indictments, but making sure that these police officers get locked up. At least I feel that way. We need to show some empathy from the men and women in uniform to say that what happened to George Floyd was wrong and should not be accepted in any society. And then we need to have an earlier presence so that we can protect the mom and pop stores that have already been suffering for the last 3 months, that have already been, without income. These are the stores that employ our community folks. And now many of those stores, because of what's happening, under the false pretenses of seeking justice, will never be opened again.
I know. So, Borough President, we're out of time here, but I want to get your reaction to two videos of police officers. One was a sergeant who was hit by a car last night in the Bronx. Another was a police officer who was seemingly attacked while on the ground there. You know, you and I were talking in the commercial break about a slippery slope, about too much police presence. Your thoughts on those incidents and your thoughts about how much is too much then on the ground to make sure we don't see what we saw last night?
Well, again, what happened, what you see with those police officers getting beat up, what you see on the screen there, or getting rolled over by the car, is just as wrong as the images that we saw a couple of days ago in another borough when police officers rammed the gate and ran through a crowd. And when we have to be fair here, we have to call wrong and wrong on both sides, whether something is happening to a police officer or when a police officer has their knee on the neck of an innocent black man for over 8 minutes. And, so tonight, we're hoping for a better night than last night. It was rough for not only law enforcement, it was rough for the Bronx and the city, it was rough for small businesses, but more importantly, it was a rough night for justice.
Understood. Well said. Borough President Ruben Diaz Jr., thank you for the time this morning, and stay safe to you. I'm sure we'll be there at that press conference later today. Thank you.